Lynx fans, the wait is finally over. Yes, the 2023 WNBA season tips off today. My name is Alex Zappa, and to get you ready for it, I am previewing every single player on this year's team. Yes, the 12-person rosters are locked and loaded to start the season, and I'm breaking down every single position for the Lynx. The starter, who I project to be starting, the backup player as well, and then I'm also going to pose a question, which basically means if they do this, they're going to have a successful season, and if most of our players can meet this objective, this question, the Lynx are certainly a team that could surprise in 2023. So without further ado, let's get to it, starting with the point guards. A familiar face and then a brand new one. Tiffany Mitchell signed from the Indiana Fever. She spent her first 7 seasons in Indiana. Her last 2 seasons, 9 points per game, 1.5 assists, 2 rebounds, 43% field goal percentage from the floor. This preseason, she's been dominant for the Minnesota Lynx. She's also been sharing the floor with Rachel Banham as well. So I have the most listed as point guards. It's a positionless league. I anticipate, again, Tiff and Rachel to share the floor together. But unbeknownst to me at this moment, what the starting lineup is going to be in defining players' roles, we have Tiffany Mitchell as the point guard. And the question for her is, can she maintain her preseason playmaking? This preseason, okay, she's averaging 6 assists a game. She has never averaged more than 3 in her career. If Tiffany Mitchell can emulate what we saw her do in the preseason, not only getting 6 assists a game, but also scoring 14 points per game, Tiffany Mitchell, someone who fell out of favor with the Indiana Fever, she comes to the Lynx, and I think she might be one of the greatest surprises on this 2023 team. Behind Tiffany Mitchell on the depth chart, I have Rachel Banham, the former 2016 first-round pick, 4th overall, mind you, to the Connecticut Sun, out of the University of Minnesota. She's entering her age 29 season, her 4th with the Minnesota Lynx, and last year was a banner year from her. Career highs in points per game, 7.9, minutes per game, 17.5, three-point attempts, 4.1. She had her second best field goal percentage season ever, shooting 43%. When I asked every player at Media Day, who has the best shot on the team, there wasn't a single person who didn't mention Rachel Banham. Her signature question for this season, though, is, can she maintain the efficiency that she had last year? And then on top of that, because her offense has never been a question, if Rachel Banham can bear down a little bit on the defensive end and stick to defenders a little bit closer, she is going to be someone that is incredibly valuable for this year's edition of the Minnesota Lynx. Transitioning to the shooting guard position, it starts with Kayla McBride, okay? She's a 3-time All-Star, another former first-round pick back in 2014 out of Notre Dame. This is her 3rd season in a Lynx uniform. She's going to be 31 this year, so she's certainly a vet that can lead some of these great rookies we have on this year's roster. We'll get to them. But the big question for Kayla McBride is, can she become, again, this elite, high-end 3-point shooter? Because when she was with the Aces, where she went to back-to-back All-Star games, she shot 40% plus from the stripe in those 2 years combined. We haven't quite seen that in a Lynx jersey. She's been good, but there's more in the tank. Next is Bridget Carleton, one of my favorite players on the Minnesota Lynx. She's always in the right spot. She's always making the right moves. Now, the thing with Bridget is the last 3 years, her minutes per game have been trending down. The last 2 years, her efficiency has gone down. In 2020, she shot 52% from the floor. That is elite stuff, guys. But the last 2 years, 40% both seasons. So the big question for Bridget Carleton is this: can she become an elite 3-and-D player? And with a team that just frankly does not have some of the star power as other teams in the WNBA, if Bridget Carleton can have one of her best seasons, she's going to be a huge reason why this Lynx bench lifts this Lynx team overall. Transitioning to the small forwards, guys, I'm taking a shot here. I'm going with Diamond Miller at Maryland. You can see the stats. They've been absolutely amazing. She did a little bit of everything. Cheryl Reed is going to need a defensive stopper. I think that could be Diamond Miller. And Diamond Miller is also someone who is working on her offensive game, her offensive package at the professional level. She's not going to need the ball all the time. She's a freak athlete. I asked every player on Media Day, who is the best athlete on this team? There wasn't a voice who didn't at least mention Diamond Miller. And the question for Diamond is, can her offense catch up to her defense? Her defense is already WNBA ready. If she can have her offense in check by the end of this season, turning into the playoffs, this is an incredibly dangerous team that could fundamentally pick up a star as this season continues along the way. Behind Diamond Miller is Aerial Powers. And here's the deal. I'm not going to be shocked if today Aerial Powers is starting. But with that said, I think she could be a really useful player off the bench that is a high volume scorer. Last year, she had career highs in minutes per game, which was 27 minutes per game, career high in points per game, that was 14.5. She took the most field goal attempts she's ever had in a season, which is 12.6. The problem was her efficiency wasn't quite there. So that is the question for Aerial Powers, is when she was with the Washington Mystics, we saw her have some highly efficient seasons. We haven't quite seen those in a Lynx jersey throughout an entire season. Transitioning to power forwards, of course, guys, it starts and stops with Napheesa Collier, okay? First round pick out of UConn. She's gone to 2 All-Star games, okay? She shot 52% and 40% from 3 in 22 games in 2020. So those are elite high-end numbers. Now for her career, 48% from the floor, very good. 33% from 3, that's a respectable number, but as we just heard, it can be better. That can grow a little bit. Not to mention 3 assists, 1.5 steals, a block per game, getting to the line over 3 times a game. She is someone that touches the stat sheet all across the board. So the fundamental question for Napheesa Collier is, can she have her best season yet? And here's the thing, entering year 5, you would think so. Now again, we need to remember that it was only a year ago that she had a baby and she missed the majority of the 2022 season. But if this Lynx team is going to make the playoffs and if they're going to make a push, we need an MVP type of season from Napheesa Collier. But guess what? I think she can deliver. Behind Napheesa is Jess Shepard. Frankly, today, I would not be surprised if Napheesa is starting at power forward and Jess Shepard is starting at center. Regardless, Jess Shepard, guess what, guys? She had an amazing 2022 season. Career highs across the board. Points per game, minutes played, rebounds per game, which happened to be 8th in the WNBA. That was 7.4 per game. She averaged 3 assists per game as well. She was a playmaker. She's a great handle for a post player. So the fundamental question with Jessica Shepard is, can she be better? It makes you think, what is the ceiling on this player? And for someone who can stretch the floor and shoot threes, has a good dribble, and can rebound at a high rate, we saw that last year, this is a ceiling that could be how high? Can Jess get even better? If she does, obviously, that's going to put the Lynx in a really good position this year. Last but not least, we transition to the centers. And it starts, and this is a bold call, guys, but it starts for me with the rookie, Dorka Juhas. Yes, she's had an incredible preseason, 23 minutes per game, that's 6th on the team, 7.5 points, also 6th on the team, 8 rebounds, which is tied for first, 1.5 assists, and you can see there with the UConn numbers getting 3 assists per game. She's a playmaker, okay? And very similar to Jess Shepard, a really good handle, someone that can bring the ball up in transition. Dorka Juhas at 6'5", has a bunch of versatility. And again, as a former UConn player, you know she knows how to play the game in a way that is suitable for winning basketball. So the question for Dorka is this. Can she defend elite WNBA centers? Sylvia Fowles is on to bigger and better things. Can Dorka Juhas handle the physicality of some of the bigger centers? And then can she also keep up with the versatility of some of the more crafty centers? If she can do that, she is an absolute steal, maybe the steal of the 2023 WNBA draft, with the Lynx nabbing her in the 2nd round. And behind her is one of my favorite players from last year, Nikolina Milic, who at 28 years old was a WNBA rookie. She got into 31 games for the Lynx. She got 4 starts. And here's the deal. Very good numbers across the board. 11 minutes per game, 4.5 field goal attempts. She shot 55% for a rookie. That's really tough to do. Not to mention 74% from the free throw line. She can shoot the ball a bit, guys. And she put up 6 points per game. Whenever Sylvia Fowles missed games, Milic got in. And so her best game last year against the Indiana Fever, she went 11 of 19, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 0 turnovers, 30 minutes played. Oh, and did I mention she scored 23 points per game? So Milic, when given the opportunity, was high-end, efficient player last year. So for Milic, her question for the season is very similar to Dorcas. Can she defend and can she rebound amongst the great post players of the WNBA? Can she stay out of foul trouble? Can she still score at the rate that we saw her do last year? You'll take 55% again. If she can answer those questions, Nikolina Milic, like so much of this roster, is primed and ready for a breakout season. 2023 might just bring it to us. And without further ado, that is it. The 2023 Lynx roster previewed here on Bally Sports North Digital. My name is Alex Zappa, and thank you as always for tuning in.